Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Wednesday. It's February 3rd. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And real quickly, it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse here, but the website is still down as of me doing this video. I did finally make some progress today with my current host, and they promised me that within a few hours, this was probably about 4 o'clock, that within a few hours the site would be back functional. So, like I said, as of this video, it is not functional yet, but they promised me that. So I'm hoping that sometime tonight we will come back online and that will be taken care of. In the meantime, I'm in the process of moving over to a different host. I've looked at a couple of different things. I haven't decided which one I'm gonna go with yet, but I'm probably gonna go ahead and move. I'm just not happy that anybody would take 3 days to resolve something, and at this point it's really not resolved. I'm just taking their word, but I've talked to them a couple of times before, and they assured me that things were going to be okay shortly, and here we are 3 days later, and the site's been down for 3 days. So all I can do is say I'm sorry, and we'll get back up as quick as we can. And some of you, I've had quite a few people touch base with me, stating that they tried to join the site or our premium membership or whatever, and a couple of you probably, I think, just did join and you can't use it, and so I apologize, but we'll have it going soon. And anybody that joined in the last couple of days, a year from now, if you want, I'll extend it for a couple of days. So don't worry about that. But anyway, hopefully we'll be back up and running soon. That's the all I can tell you is at this point is I got my fingers crossed. So my current host is a well-known host, and so I'm a little surprised that their customer service was so bad. I'm not going to call their name at this point, but if you want to know who it is, drop me an email. I'd be glad to tell you. But I think I will be moving my business somewhere else as soon as possible. So anyway, let's talk about the chart lesson. Today really was a big range day. You can see it's so big, you really don't even want to call it a range, but it is. You can see the highs were up here around the 1910 area, and the lows down here at 1865 area. So that's a 40 point plus range. So it's hard to call that a range, but if you looked on the big picture, you can see the resistance is up here and the support is down here. Most of the support is right around here, around 1875. We did push lower temporarily, but it looked like we were going to kind of go flat for a while this morning. But notice this is the overnight low here, and this is that pullback to test it. It tried to hold, but it couldn't, and it pushed on through. And so then it's testing the next big support area, which is actually, there's a couple on the way up we tested, and then we end up hanging up here. The major ones are the ones that tend to get tested over and over, and they tend to hold over and over. And so you can see it holding up here, and here in the overnight, we still haven't really pushed through there yet. We pushed through temporarily, but it can't seem to gain any traction point past that point. So there's some heavy selling coming in there right now. We'll see what happens. But anyway, a nice trend down and a nice trend back up. And really, this was a break in you got to move up, then you got to move down. Notice what's going on. We're going up. We get the break, move to a new high, and it just keeps going, really. We got to move down, a break, and a new low. We're moving down here. We got a break, but we never got a new low on this one. And sometimes that happens. So, generally you'll get an overshoot. I was looking at this like a two-tiered channel, but this could very well just be an overshoot right here, move to a new low, and then we reversed. And sometimes prices just don't do what they're supposed to do, and this may be one of them. Once we got back inside here, the support was just too strong, and people perceive this is a good value, and people are buying here, and you can see we rocketed out of there big time. So, but that's why sometimes it's wise, once you get a trend working in the other way, don't argue with it, just take it. And but make sure you know what you're doing and you've got a trend working in the other way. Look for that reversal pattern. So, but let's back out. And actually, there was a trend early on. This is when it looked like we were probably going to have a trading range. Notice the trend line moving up, the break, moved to a new high, and then we sold off. So just what you'd expect there. But I'm going to back out a little bit. It's quite a few trades a day, really a lot of them. So I'm going to move on through here and get us finished so I can spend another hour or so here trying to see if we can get our website going, see if they get this resolved. But anyway, notice we're moving up and we get a break. And there's some reasons to consider a short here, but notice we're making higher lows all the way up here. So when we got this, I really treated this like a failed second entry short here. Notice that there's a new low, first entry, pullback, second entry. But either way, you can, this is a double bottom, so you can count it as a new low. So pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry. And somebody actually went short right here, sent me this, and there's some reasons to consider it. I don't like the setup on my chart, and we're not quite to the high. We don't quite have a new high in, so there's always a chance you pull back and bounce again, which is what happened. We did push through the EMA, but we still bounced. So I like going long right there, and there is actually some reasons to, you see there's a trend line right there as well. So if you're paying attention to that, that's all the more reason to like these longs right here. In the end, was there really a range, a channel there? I can't really make it fit nicely, but maybe we overshot it here. Maybe there is a range. We overshot it. We made a new high, and then we turned down. We never really get a break here, at least that I can see. So it's hard to say, but it doesn't matter. We're looking for a retest of the high here. And this does kind of fit, so maybe that's it. Maybe we got the overshoot. You really get the overshoot before you know the channel's in place, though. But irregardless, there's no doubt there's a trend line working up through there. There's a support line working up through there. Is it a trend channel that we can find? Maybe not, but there's no doubt there's a trend line working up through there. You get it off these first two swings. You really get it confirmed here. You know, there's some reasons to even consider going long here. This is early. This is way before I got in here, so I usually don't mark that 5 o'clock. If I'd been here, I might even mark that one green if it was during our hours. But the first one I saw at 7 o'clock is bouncing right off that line. There's a couple different ways to see a failed second entry short there that I already talked about. And nice bullish reversal bar. Just go long there. And when it pulls back and bounces again, I like jumping back in, or if you weren't out of that one, adding on again. You should have been scalped out of that one if you entered in the right place. And you just add back on again right there, and off it goes, and just ride this till you get to the highs or up here near this high. And that's a nice trade, and you get some runners out of it. And then we reverse. And here's what I'm talking about, making sure that that you get a reversal in the other direction. And notice what happens here. You move down, you get a slight push up there, and then we go right through the EMA. Then we pull back, and you get a failed second entry long right here, and you get that big bearish bar. And it's basically right off that trend line right there. You can see it. Just go short right there. I kind of went back and forth about maybe this one should be green because you're going short right out of that kind of congestion area. But you've got a trap here. It's a reversal pattern. It's the pullback to the EMA. It's real borderline. It could almost be green. But there's a lot of reasons to consider it. Mostly because of that trap there. So again, this one's real borderline being green, but look at it go. Then we pull back here. You get a second entry short. We do break the trend line right here, but you get a big bearish bar. You're probably it's a second entry short. It's right off the EMA. Just go short right there. If you can get in that one. That one moved really, really quick, and you may not could have got in that trade if you know. So it just depends on how your chart's set up. But that one was going to be hard to get into, but it's a great trade. And it takes off. But it gives you another chance here. And this is a failed second entry short. Look what happens. You pull down first entry, pull back second entry. It fails right off the trend line bearish bar. It's a breakout pullback short from this support that's running across here, that little double bottom. A couple different reasons to like that one. And if you caught this one trade, this thing rides all the way down. And if you just stayed with it until you got a break, it would have been right here. So one runner with just one contract right there, and you wait till you get a break. Um, that's your first bar that closes outside a break above it. That's 25 points right there. 25 points on that one trade. So you don't have to catch many of these, and they're here every day. There's some. But anyway, notice this one: pull back first entry, pull back second entry. This is a second entry short. It's right off the EMA, right off the midline here. This one again is close to being green, but as hard as this has been selling off, I think it's worth taking. It's worth entering here off the EMA. Normally the EMA is not near. I mean, I'm sorry, the midline, which is this middle line. It's not nearly um, as reliable as the trend line or the trend channel, but you get a lot of touches off of it that turn out to be good trades. So in a market this, because it's selling off so strongly, and it's a second entry short right off the EMA and the midline, I say it's worth taking. And notice you made a little higher low right there. If it, I would have liked, I almost really like adding on there. If it would have ticked higher and then turned down, that would have been your best trade, and I would have even said add on if you entered here. But it didn't happen. We have to wait till you get over here. And notice what happens. You made a new high here. You get a first test of it. You pull back. You get a second test. It breaks higher, fails, and turns down and go right out the other side. Just have your stop right there, ready to go short. That was a quick, easy move. It does bounce. If for some reason you didn't get out of that one, I like adding on here. And notice what happens. It tries to go higher. It touches the line, the EMA, then it tries to go higher, touches that trend line. And this is getting really close to this line here. So you want to think about that. But I think if you caught this double test and you notice that we're making lower highs really every time, and this was a trap right here, so I really like that one. I still think this one is safe enough to enter because this has been a big downtrend, and we got a double touch again of the trend line, and it's holding. So I think this one's worth risking. It is real close to being green, especially with all that overlap there. And you know what? I think I'm gonna make it green because it is just so. It's one of those iffy ones. This one I like because you got room. This one you just don't have much room, and you never know when it's gonna push a tick or two lower, and you don't get out, and then it bounces. You got to be careful of those. So I'm gonna go ahead and change that one to green, and then we just keep working lower. There's really a failed second entry long there. And this is almost a repeat pattern. So really you could, as much as I didn't want to mark that one because we've really moved so low, there is a failed second. Notice the swing high, and actually the failed second entry long is there, but that's like a double test of that area right in there, a triple test almost. So there's some reasons to consider it. It would have worked, and the thing is, it is a repeat pattern. It's almost a perfect repeat pattern of that. Except this one's even better because we're making lower lows and lower highs here. And that's usually a sign that you're going to push lower. But look what happened. It didn't go far, and then it bounced. And that's why I'm saying you got to be careful. I didn't like it in real time, so I'm not going to change it. But based on what I just said there, you know, you could make that one green. You could really enter either or right there, both of those. I don't think I would add on there after it bounced, but anyway. Then, of course, we do bounce, and we're working higher here. It's tempting to go long right here, but I generally like to wait for that third touch and that third, that confirmation, and then that trap, and you got that right here, so I like going long right there. If you want to be aggressive, I mean, that's a nice, it looks just like a reversal pattern. Look at it push. It doesn't even hesitate at the EMA. It's really strong, pulls back, bounces. It's a really big signal bar. I'll give that one another green one too, but I think you're better off to wait on that third touch and that confirmation, which comes right there. And look, it went lower first and turned up. Put your buy stop right there, and that way you don't miss that one. It just takes off. Quick, easy move. And then you get a second entry long here. Notice this pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and look, we're right back inside that support. We double test it right there from that little pullback to it. Nice bullish bar. Go long right there. And look at that move. Boom, off it goes. And notice you did get a break of your trend line here too. So once you push to a new high, you got to be real careful. And then here comes your reversal pattern again. It's tempting to go short right there, and there is enough room to get out, but that bar is it's only got a couple of ticks. It's really a bearish bar, but again, I think you're better off to wait on that failed second entry long that comes right here. Get a big bearish bar. It is right into the EMA, but you can see that trend line working down, and we're looking for it to come back down again. At this point, I'm still looking for a retest of the low, so I thought we would probably go lower here. And it looked like we were going to ride it all in one move, to be honest. But again, you get runners out of this. And if you just take one runner and you ride it down to where you get that break above that first bar again, and you could ride it further than that. You could exit at different spots, but that's generally the way I like to do it. There's you another 4-point runner. And then here's your reversal pattern again. Look, we push through the EMA, we pull back. You get a reversal type bar. But again, I like this one because really you got a double bottom here, and so it's like a failed second entry short. So you could almost count that one, and look at that reversal bar. You're back inside this support again. It bounces off of that, so I like that one. And if you're still in, I like adding on right here because now you got notice the new low, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. Now you got another failed second entry short right there. That's your reversal pattern. Bounces right off the EMA, the trend line, and look at it go again. Just takes off, and so again, you catch a runner there. Just see what this one would be worth. There's another 4 points. And, this one you might have been smart just to exit right up here at the next high with it moving that far, because even if it does go through there, it's probably not going to go far. So, assuming you play it like that up to that high, get out a couple of ticks in front of it, then you're looking at almost 6 points. And so then we turn down, you make a first entry, pull back, second entry, look at that reversal bar. And this looks very similar to this pattern here. It's just kind of reversed, but it reminds, the pullback to the EMA, and you really can't call that one a repeat pattern, but it has the same feel as that one. It's very similar to this one as well, and you could call it a repeat pattern for this one. And look at it go, and you're just looking for it to come back up here and make a new high, and that's pretty much what it does. And you get a second entry short here. This one did go higher and turn down, but there's a little double bottom in the EMA right there. I think you're better off to get that third push and that third touch of the EMA and get that trap, and you get that right here. And even this one is right into that support. But you got that trap there. It went higher first and turned and went out the other side. Just have your stop. And it's a quick, easy move, and it bounces. So, but when it started going higher, I would be looking for, actually, you probably could I'd call it this one first. I'd use that one first, but then I'd measure the other one. I'd be looking for that measured move. We didn't quite get it, but we end up touching the upper side here a lot quicker. And I would also be looking, would have measured it from here. You're going to see that one's pretty much a measured move right there, perfect measured move. So that would have given you a couple different targets to right in that area right there. And we actually get a trap here. Notice the new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry, and it turns down. But that one's just too much congestion across there. It's too big a chance it turns down and bounces and runs up one more time. So you got to skip that one. But then look what happens here. You get a new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. That's a big bearish bar. Just go short right there. And you really could have entered again right here or added on if you wanted to. I didn't circle them both. When this one didn't take off and it pulled back like that, you could have easily gotten stopped out of that one. And I don't think I would have risked adding another one on there. I think I would have waited, and you get the failed second entry long right there. And look at that bearish bar. It's a pretty big bar, so you got to be careful with it. But and this one moves really quick. Maybe you had a little different setup on yours. You probably would have had a hard time. Actually, if you just dropped your limit order where it's supposed to go there, you would have come back and filled you here and backed up, and you could have still had a winner there, but that one was a little hard to get into. And again, that is similar to a pattern we had earlier. Where was it? It was this one, I guess, right into that EMA, and it goes just a little further and bounces. So that was another reason to consider it. But I think you're better off to wait here, and then you get the third touch. And then notice what happens. New low. This low's lower than this one. Pull back first entry, pull back another second entry short right there. Nice bearish bar. And then it pulls back and ticks higher and turns back down. Once you got a break of this, you could have actually gone short right there again. But if you wanted to wait and drop a limit order and get a little better entry, it would have pulled way back here, almost all the way back, and filled you. But the break, the entry is really right under there, and that's one I would probably use a limit order. And again, once it broke lower, I'd put a limit order just to make sure you got enough room to get out before these lows here. And you could have gotten filled easily on that one, and it takes off. And you can tell now we've got a, sure enough, when it bounces here, we got a sure enough trend channel working lower. And we bounce here. Got a trend line working up through here. So you got to be real careful on this one. You get a break, it tries to go higher, and then it pushes down. And look at it go right through the EMA, pull back, and you get a failed second entry long there. Relatively bearish bar. I made this one green because there's a lot of overlap there and a lot of stems on both sides. So it's a little bit concerning, but it's still a reversal pattern. No doubt about it. And off it goes to the other side, and that's where it bounces. And this one, I'm going to tell you, it's really tempting to enter here, and you really could on a, if you want to be aggressive. But notice where it bounces, right across that support area again. And this just gives you a second entry counting off this side. It's not really a second entry because it makes a new low, but that's basically a double bottom. And generally when it pushes a few ticks lower and reverses like that, they trap all these shorts down here. And these can be some very powerful moves that let you catch the low of the day. And so I like those to be aggressive with because they pay really well if you're right. And look what happens. You could have ridden this all the way up the rest of the day. And if you rode that one until you got the first bar that closed outside and a break below it, one contract's worth 26 points. That's what I'm talking about with those trades right there. Those kind of trades can be very, very rewarding. I love those trades, especially when it's a low. You can get them off the highs too that do the same thing. They trap everybody, but the lows really tend to work. And notice what happens. You push through. This is a reversal pattern. And you really only get a first entry shot on this one, but it bounces right off. The trend line's really working off these lower bars here. And it's bounced right off that in the EMA, a reversal type bar. And look at it go. Huge move. I mean, this thing was rocketing up through here. That's really strong. And then pull back first entry, pull back second entry. So now you got a second entry right off the EMA, right off the trend line. And look at it go. Another nice move. That got you into the, there's another second entry. There's really a failed second entry long there, but of course you don't want to go long into that. So you could consider going short, but we don't have a break of this yet, really, a close outside it. So I think you got to wait. Notice we get the close outside here and then a move to a new high. So you could have considered going long right here. It's really right at the 2 o'clock hour, but it's not quite in the 2 o'clock hour. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it. I started to mark it earlier and I didn't, but you know, there's reasons you don't really want to skip a trade like that if you're still trading. So I'll mark it and pull back. This is really a double top. But what I like about this one is the trap. You get the, you try to go lower twice and you double test that line. Boom, and off it goes. And you're looking for it to go break and retest of the high anyway. And there it goes. So really good trading day. Lots and lots of trades here. I mean, we had a good many today. I didn't even count them, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And that doesn't count the green ones. That's 21 trades right there. So if you can't find 2 or 3 good trades amongst that by being and just being patient, um, I don't know what else to tell you. The key is just being patient. And if somebody sent me an email today, let me see if I can. Okay, here it is. This is from a different trader than I've. He'd asked me a question about something, and I answered it. Understand where I know you've said this. I'm just going to pick up where he talks about his trading. He says, I know that I've said this in the past, but over the last 2 decades, I was told countless times that nobody can make a living day trading. I heard this from my family. I heard it from my friends and brokers. In the last 3 months, I've seen my trading improve exponentially. 1 losing trade a day out of 7. I'll take those odds any day. Your nightly videos are worth so much if one is willing to invest. Now listen to this part now. Your videos are worth so much if one is willing to invest the time required. They were the key for me getting to where I am now with my trading. I can't thank you enough for the time you put into teaching those who are willing to learn. And that's the key, the teaching those that are willing to learn. So many people come into this business with unrealistic expectations. And they think they're different, and they think, hey, I'm gonna spend some money, a lot of money on a high dollar course that's got all the secrets, and on a few weeks or maybe a couple months, I'll be trading and making a living as a day trader. I can tell you 99.9% of the people are going to fail because that's unrealistic. This takes a long time. First of all, the only way you'll ever make money, at least this is my opinion, and nobody's proven me wrong yet, the only way you will ever make money consistently is if you can read the chart. You can't trade patterns and you can't trade systems and things like that and consistently make money. It just does not happen. You've got to be able to read this chart, and you know where prices, as long as prices are in this trend channel working lower, you know prices are heading lower. And then once they start going higher in this channel, you know they're going higher. You don't know exactly where they're going to reverse, but you've got the information here that tells you you can know what prices are doing. You know when we start bouncing here, we're coming back for a retest for this. And if we keep going, we're coming back to retest some of these other areas. And if we get up to here, we're coming back to retest this area. Same thing coming down. When we were coming down here, we were coming to retest this at a minimum. Notice we bounced there, and then we're moving again. And if you go over here, you'll see some support and resistance from before. You might have to go, since we're making some really low lows here, you might have to go back a few days, or even, who knows, you may have to go back weeks when you start making new lows and new highs. But they're there, I promise you. And you'll see it bounce at those same places. So you got to be able to read this chart, and you got to know what prices are doing. And if you learn that and you get the experience, and after you sit here when I say experience, it takes a long time. You're not going to learn to fly a plane in a couple of days. It's going to take time. You're not going to become a brain surgeon by watching a couple of videos and reading a brain surgery manual. So you're not, and trading is no different. You're not going to become a trader by reading a manual and trading for a few days. This takes time, and if you get in here and risk your hard-earned money, you're just going to give it to somebody that knows what they're doing, that has put in the time and does have that experience. So be prepared for a long journey, but it is a journey that can be done if you have realistic expectations and you stick to your guns and you put in the time every day. Just sitting here trading every day will not do it. The way you get better is you come on here and you trade on the simulator, and then the real work starts later that afternoon or that night when you sit down and you study this chart. You study all your trades first. You figure out what you did wrong, what you did right. If you went long right in here, common sense will probably tell you, hey, I bought at the wrong spot. I should have been looking to go short there. And if you were selling down here, well, common sense should tell you, hey, I started selling too late and it was reversing. And with time, it will make sense. And if you study it, there's a reason every trade fails. Every time, there's a reason. You misinterpreted something, or you misread something. And if you do that every night, you will get better at this. But if you just come on here and trade, and then you close up the end of the day and you don't go back and study, you're not going to learn a whole lot. You won't understand why a trade failed. You won't learn to figure out where you were wrong and where you were right and what was going on. That's how you learn. It's so important. I just can't emphasize enough how important it is to study your charts at the end of every day. And then once you studied all your trades, then just go back to the beginning and start reading the price action and seeing if you can spot the moves after the fact. Why did prices take off? Look, let me show you this. I've showed you this yesterday. Where are all the best moves? Where did the big moves happen at? At the key entry points. Key entry points. Say that to yourself with me this time. Key entry points. Key entry points. Okay, that's enough. But you get the drift, I hope. It's the key entry places, and that's off the key. That's the important support and resistance areas. It's going to be off the EMA, off the trend lines, and off the horizontal support and resistance. Look where the big move came, right off the trend line. Look where these big moves generated, right off the trend line, right off the key entry. Look, again, right here. Where did the big moves up start at? Right off the trend lines. Boom. The other side, off these trend lines, off the upper side of the trend channel, the big moves. Where did the big moves generate here? Off the trend line in the EMA, off the trend line in the EMA, off the EMA in the midline. That's where your big moves are always going to be. And notice what's really going on right across here. Even though we're trending up, and that's why we're trading both sides of this one, because we're swinging back and forth across the EMA consistently. That's, even though you may be trending up or down while you're doing that, you can trade it both ways when it's like that. Look what happens when it's all above the EMA. You get strong trends. Don't trade it any way but with a trend when it's like that. And if you aren't real sure, even when it's like this, stick with the trend. But generally, when prices are, and look what's happening when we're coming down, we're all below the EMA, so don't counter trend trade here. Don't do it. Notice we don't have any longs really until we're on the other side of the EMA. And now we're going back and forth. Even though we're trending up overall here, it's an upward bias. It's kind of neutral upward because we're swinging. We're above the EMA, we're below. We're above the EMA, below, above, below, above, below, above, below, below. And then it starts trending again here. So stay away from any counter trend trades once that starts. Stay with the trend. So anyway, going to wrap it up. Hope you had a good day. We'll be back to do our final one for the week tomorrow. Hopefully there will be a midday chart lesson tomorrow when I come in. I'm hoping when by the time tomorrow I come in, the site is up. If it's not up sometime this evening, keep your fingers crossed. And that's going to do it for today. So I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.